Hey guys, thanks for tuning us in for this 43rd episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. First off, I want to again say thanks so much to my good friend Brandon Allen, who came up and listened to the podcast, came up with our new theme music. And again, thanks, Brandon. Appreciate that theme music. And special guests for this 43rd episode include Bryson Culwell, who's the host of the Red River Radio Show. Chelsey James, country singer, has a debut single, Hand on the Bible. Our good friend Brandon Lang, who's the host of the sports betting podcast on the Believe Network and owner of BrandonLang.com. We'll also visit with Desi Lydic, the daily host with Trevor Noah. She's going to be presenting Remembering RBG, Nation Ugly Cries with Desi Lydic. That half-hour special is going to premiere on Friday. Jordan Wolfe, he'll be talking about Night of the Living Dead, the musical, and the legend himself, Kane Hodder, going to be talking Friday the 13th, and some funny filming stories as well. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and, of course, share with your friends. All right, guys, kicking off this 43rd episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. I have on the phone with us today one of my good friends, also a radio DJ, has a radio show of his own, the Red River Radio Show. We've got Bryson Culwell with us. And first off, Bryson, thanks so much for taking the time to visit, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on. I've never done an interview from this point of view, so it's kind of funny for me. I feel weird right now.
But that's all right. We'll nurture you through it. How about that?
That's perfect.
Now, tell me first off, Red River Radio Show. I mean, I know where it came from personally because we've had this talk for years. It seems like, but where did your love for the red dirt form of music? Where did that come up from?
Well, I am very fortunate. My parents had me at a very young age, and I was born in Ardmore, Oklahoma, which is actually where I live now. I was able to make my way back here with radio. But anyways, we moved to Fort Worth whenever I was a little kid. My dad drives trains for a living. And I think really just growing up down there around that music, the red dirt genre is, I think we can both agree, it's a young people genre. Young people like it. And going back to mentioning my parents, both young whenever I was growing up, they were big into Cross-Canadian Ragweed
Right.
and Randy Rogers. And so my first concert was actually, it was at the Oklahoma City Zoo Amphitheater, and it was called Cross-Canadian Ragweed. I think Family Jam was what it was called. And it was Cross-Canadian Ragweed, Dierks Bentley, Gary Allen, Pat Green, I think Randy Rogers, Red Dirt Rangers, probably The Great Divide, somebody else in there. And I was hooked. And then when we moved down to Texas, I listened to 95.3 The Range out of Dallas, The Ranch out of Fort Worth. And there was just so much of that music just at my fingertips. And so I was able to, that was really, it was all I knew until I got into radio. And then I realized, it's not a very popular genre in radio. So I had to come up with my own show.
And for you, who has been the pinnacle opportunity that you've had to visit with and be on the show so far?
Well, with the show so far, the show's fairly new. We actually just got done recording our 20th episode. And then last episode, episode 19, we actually were blessed to have Mike McClure from The Great Divide on. And he does his own thing, the Mike McClure Band. And I think he's one of the key people. If there was a red dirt Mount Rushmore, it'd be Mike McClure, Cody Canada, Tom Skinner, and then probably Jason Boland or somebody like that. And so to get to talk to one of those guys from that caliber, it was really fun. We've had Caitlin Butts on. We've had a really good friend of mine who plays bass for Sonny Sweeney, who played bass for the Damn Quails. His name is Dylan Sampson. He also helps a lot with our music. I'm able to bounce ideas kind of back and forth with him. Him being a music fan and a musician, we kind of jive pretty well together, I'd say.
And what's the hardest part getting the ball rolling? I know what it's like to try to get a show up and running, but to get those first few syndicated places for you, what was it like when you signed the first syndicate, if you will?
Well, I got to be honest. I do the Red River Radio Show, but I do have a home base here in Ardmore. I work for Keystone Broadcasting, and there's two people that really were influential whenever I decided that the Red River Radio Show was something that we wanted to do. Number one being my wife. She is our social media manager. She's our marketing coordinator. She's our cheerleader. She does everything. She even models our T-shirts. So she's integral. And then also my boss. I know probably better than anyone, being in radio for a long time, sometimes you don't have the best bosses whenever you're in radio. And the previous place that I had come from didn't necessarily have the best boss. And whenever I got here, he's not only my boss, he's my landlord, he's a friend. And he actually said, I went to him with the idea about the show, and here at KICM, we don't play red dirt. We play, traditional mainstream, whatever you want to call it. And I had told him, I brought him this idea and said, hey, I really want to try to contact some people in Oklahoma, try to get this ball rolling. And he said, well, why don't we play the show, and then we'll just get the ball rolling from there. So he took a chance on me whenever he didn't have to let me put a program on his radio station, and I'm very thankful to him for that, because he's been able to open up a lot of opportunities.
And for you, to be back home and doing music, doing the show, all there in your old stomping grounds, I mean, how cool is that? I know what it's like here being in my old stomping grounds. So, but for you to go out to sow your wild oats for a couple of years, come back, what was that like?
Man, it was a really cool experience. I was there in Altus, not with you even, actually, for those that don't know. Me and Cameron used to be competitors against each other, but it never really felt like competition, because it was just a mutual respect thing, at least I think, between the two of us. But yeah, it's like you said, hometown, nothing really can compete with home, and I'm sure that you can back me up on that. And it was weird because, previously with other jobs in radio, it's really, you kind of have to take a tour of the area that you're going to be in your listening area. You got to learn the people, the geographical location. You got to learn the traditions of the town. And whenever I came into this job, I was able to kind of not do that. I knew the location, I knew the people, I knew the traditions, I knew different things like that. And so, for me, it hasn't even really been about being in my hometown. It's just been more about being comfortable and not having to necessarily cut my teeth as much as I probably should have.
Speaking of knowing your way around that, I was wondering how this story was going to lend its way in. You just gave me the perfect segue there. Okay. I think I mentioned to you that I had a DJ gig for a wedding over by Ringling. And you kind of know, you know where Ringling is. Well,
yes, absolutely. And now there's a funny story with Ringling. Now, I cover local high school football, and last year I covered Ringling, and I ended up going with them all the way, and we won the gold ball in Class A. So that was a fun experience. I'm 2 for 2, actually. This is my third year covering sports, Cameron, and I have a championship with Tipton, and I have a championship with Ringling. So it's looking good for year 3.
There you go. Now, you know what it's like over in Ringling. Well, coming from Altus, everything is square miles. It's easy to find everything. And sure. But before I went over, I asked my buddy that was doing the service, and said, how hard is it to find? Oh, it's real easy. He said, I'll just send you the GPS link to it, and just click that in and you'll be good to go. Well, I did that, and I was good to go the whole way. And I get about where it says on my GPS I'm 5.1 miles away, but it's going to take 31 minutes. And I'm like going, where in the world is this place at? So
that sounds like Ringling.
Yeah, so I thought I was going to be way off the highway. So I turn off on this little gravel road that it tells me to turn off on. I go down about 2 miles and it says take a left at this like little angle. Well, that little angle is somebody's driveway. And I go on through the driveway, and there is a path. Now don't get me wrong. It is obviously something that has been driven on at some point, but it is in no way and in no means is it a road. It's completely like dirt road, dirt path. And there's parts of it where I'm driving along the side of pasture, along the side of fencing, and I'm like, what in the world? And I had to open a couple of gates. I had to get out, open a couple of gates, close them, and I thought, I'm going to end up getting shot before I go do this wedding. And so anyway, it really did take me the 31 minutes, but by the time I got to the wedding, they were like, why did it take you so long? And I had sent him Snapchats of the back roads tour, and I was like, really? Is this really the best way? And he's like, I don't know where that sent you, because whenever I get within like 20 yards of the location, I finally get back on a little bitty gravel road, and there's the house. And they were like, well, you should have gone about a mile further, and all you would have had to done was turn to your right, and 200 yards, you would have been to our house. And I was like, the GPS did not like that way. So, yeah, that was my GPS. That was my wrangling story. That's what I know of wrangling. I never made it to the town.
That's kind of whenever I lived out in Western Oklahoma, I told people that, I was from Ardmore, and everybody has oh my gosh, well, one time Ardmore and Altus were playing, and I got lost on the way to Ardmore. So I'm not surprised that you had one of those too.
That's funny. Now, the upcoming episodes and Facebook page and all that stuff, where can folks find more information about that on Facebook and social media as well?
So we are Red River Radio Show on Facebook, and then you can follow me on Instagram at Bryson on Air, or Twitter at Bryson on Air if you're brave. And our episodes, we're working on some deals right now. I don't necessarily want to. There's a guy out of Kentucky that was putting some episodes on some platforms, and he got shut down, and they've terminated his radio show. And so I don't want to get in that situation. So we've taken our time with putting him on, iTunes and different things like that. So we're kind of waiting that out. If you'd like to listen to the show, though, every Saturday from 8 to 10, we're on KHWL in Lone Wolf, Oklahoma. We're on from 5 to 7 in Ardmore. We're on from 5 to 7 in Atoka, Oklahoma. And then from 7 to 9 every Saturday, we're on in Watertown, South Dakota, Madison, Minnesota. And that's where we're at right now. Like I said, if you reach out, we've got T-shirts, we've got hats. We'd love to see those on your person and supporting the Red River Radio Show.
Well, that's good stuff. And Bryson, always good to visit with you, my friend. Continued success. And don't forget us little guys, all right?
Hey, now, we're both on the same level, and I appreciate you very much. I know you work hard over there in Altus, and I'm proud of you on this new podcast that you're doing. And I encourage people. I know it's been hard for local musicians, and I know that Altus and the Western Oklahoma area, they've got some awesome local musicians, guys like Chad Solons, Matt Moran, Joe Melton, just a lot of guys that have come out of that area of the world. And I encourage if there is local music going on near you, go and support them. And also, rest in peace, Billy Joe.
That's right. That's right. Well, Bryson, always good to visit with you, and hope you have a great rest of your week, my friend.
All right, Cam.
Our guest is country newcomer Chelsey James, and before we came on, I was mentioning, felt like I had to have a connection there because Springfield, Missouri, and Chelsey, that's where you're at this morning. Are you frozen in like we are here in Southwest Oklahoma?
Well, yeah, I'm hearing that you guys kind of got hit. We had a little bit on the trees and stuff, but nothing too bad.
So how has the release of the single for you? How has that been a challenge with all that we're dealing with in the world these days?
Oh, yeah. So, well, first of all, the recording of the song was different. So from the very beginning, we had to do everything like through, speakerphone and I would record my vocal and then we'd send it through some program. I don't even know. I don't know all the technical stuff, but send it through some program to one of my producers and he'd call us with his notes and say, okay, could you do it like this? And then we'd try it again and send it. So it's definitely a longer process on that part. It was something I definitely had to get used to for sure. But I think that, timing is everything. And I think it was just fate that with all of this stuff going on, that this song, happened to be able to be released now. Because I think it's a good message and hopefully an uplifting message for people to hear right now. So
now for you, where was the inspiration behind, I should say, Hands on the Bible?
So actually, I did not write the song. My producer, he sent me a handful of songs one day and I heard it and immediately, I know when I have that strong of a connection with the song immediately, so I was like, you have to find a way to let me record this. Please, please, please. I begged him for like 5 months. I'm like, do we get the song? Do we get the song? Do we get the song? Just because, I had such a connection with it from how I grew up. I come from a whole family of farmers in the Midwest. And of course I was raised in church and everything too. So the message just, oh my gosh, it just hit me. I mean, I almost cried the first time I heard it. So I just knew that I had to sing this song. And luckily, the writers, gave me that chance. So it's amazing.
Now, for you being not being the writer, what is it about a song necessarily that grips you? If you're listening to a whole slew of new songs, I mean, that's something I've always wondered about artists. What is it about them that grabs you?
Well, I think it comes down to, at least for me, it comes down to, we all have different experiences in life. And for me, if I'm going to sing a song, of course, when I write, what songs I write and record, they come from my personal experience. But if I'm going to sing someone else's song, I have to be able to relate to it, or I have to be able to say, oh, I know how that feels. I've personally gone through that because I'm a really bad actress. And if I were to try and sing something that I just didn't truly believe in or didn't feel, it just wouldn't come off as genuine. And, that's one of my main goals is for fans to hear my songs and see me perform and say, wow, like she really felt that. So I think I just have to connect on a personal level with the song. And of course, the emotion of the music always gets me too. I'm like I love big, full instrumental sounds too. So when that is put together with some kind of experience that I've gone through that I can really connect to, it's like, oh, this is perfect. And that's what Hands on the Bible was for me. So
now, where did Chelsey, where did music in your life originate?
I have such a different start in music, I think, than most people do. I got started actually pretty late in life. I say late in life. I mean, I'm still in my 20s, but, I feel like a lot of people I started playing when I was 4 or whatever, but that just wasn't the case for me. Honestly, it's the funniest thing. I was in band for like 1 year in high school, but that was the extent of music for me in my younger years. But, I never did choir or anything like that. I still to this day, I don't even know how to read music. And in college, I was getting ready to go out with my girlfriends one night And I was just singing to the radio, just singing along. And they were like, hey, well, sing something else. I was like, why? And they're like, you're really good. And I was like, I am. Like, I just sang for fun to myself in the car. I never thought anything of it, honestly. And so my friends heard me, and they forced me against my will to go start singing in karaoke bars. And then, people seemed to like that. So I thought, well, maybe I have something. And then I started out in a cover band a handful of years, probably 5 years ago. And I was so nervous before my first show. I thought, okay, just get through this show, and then you never have to do this again. and then I got up on stage, and within 30 seconds of the first song, I don't know, it's the craziest thing. I can't explain it, but I was just hooked, and I knew that's what I was meant to do. And here I am. It's like just the most random thing. I didn't grow up doing this at all.
Now, as if folks want to find out more information, not only about Hands on the Bible, but the other stuff that you've got going on, where can folks keep up with that information?
So, if you follow my social media, it's Chelsey James Music, and make sure you spell my first name S-E-Y, not S-E-A, like the normal way. But Chelsey James Music, Facebook, Instagram. Getting ready to release the Hands on the Bible music video, probably, I think within the next 2 weeks. So that'll be coming out. But yeah, YouTube as well, Chelsey James Music on YouTube. So yeah.
There you go. Well, Chelsey, it's been nice to get to visit with you. And hopefully after this one, we'll get to visit again real soon.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you so much for having me.
Up next is our good friend Brandon Lang. He's the host of the sports betting podcast on the Believe Network. Missed him last week, had some medical issues, but good to talk to Brandon about some picks for the weekend. First off, thanks for taking the time to be on.
Come on, man, always. You know I love OKC. Although my boy Billy Donovan's gone, and he's made his way to where'd Billy go? I forget. Where'd he jump to? Because he took another job. Where'd Billy go? We gotta figure that out. He's no longer in OKC. Oh, Bulls, Chicago Bulls.
Yep, there you go.
Although Billy's in Chicago, me loving some OKC. So yeah, we're good, and some good games this weekend. And
we always go college football first. And what tickles your fancy, if you will, college football wise this weekend?
Well, I always look at the Big 12 because that's your neck of the woods. So, like what I'm seeing from K-State, West Virginia's playing well. They're 3-0 at home. They're 3-0 against the spread at home. I do think that this is a game that's going to go down to the wire, and I believe it's a field goal game. And I'm liking me some K-State plus the 3.5. Baylor at home getting 2.5 against TCU. TCU big win over Texas, but since then they kind of haven't been able to get out of their own way. They've dropped 3 in a row. Baylor home dog 1-2. They did get it done at home, and their only home game this year played very well and got themselves the big 47-14 win over Kansas. So they've been back-to-back on the road the last 2 weeks. Played Texas tough, lost by 11. The OT loss at West Virginia. I'm going to go ahead and jump on Baylor at home plus the 2.5 in the Big 12.
And then going into NFL football for the weekend, Brandon, what do you see as the biggest game coming up this weekend?
Well, first and foremost, anytime you get Phillip Rivers laying points on the road, go against him because Crimea Rivers is going to do something stupid. Detroit just figures out ways to win. As good as Arizona looked the other night in knocking Seattle from the ranks of the unbeaten, I still think this is a Detroit team at home plus 2.5 is going to handle Indy. I do like the home dog there. As crazy as this sounds, the Chiefs are laying 19.5 against the Jets. The Jets finally covered their first game of the year, courtesy of the Buffalo Bills kicking 139 field goals in the game and winning by 8 and not covering the 9.5. I don't see the Chiefs kicking 139 field goals at home. I see the Chiefs scoring touchdowns. I know 19.5 is a big number, but it doesn't matter when you're going to win a game by about 40. So I would lay it with Kansas City. And listen, this may sound simple, but sometimes simple is good. If you can go into Kansas City and beat the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, you can go into Cleveland and beat the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders plus the 2.5, by the half point to 3, and roll with the, as Chris Berman says, the Raiders over Cleveland.
And of course, Brandon, folks can check out the podcast, also the website for extra specials as well.
Well, it's the football betting show on the Believe Podcast Network. As I say, rated R, under 18, must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. So we were able to let loose a little bit and tell it like it is. And then again, BrandonLang.com. Everybody's been waiting for 150 dime winner, number 10 in a row. And of course, that will be going on Sunday. So strap on your seatbelts and get ready to roll.
There you go. Well, Brandon, great to see you back, improving health, and look forward to talking to you again next week, my friend.
Got it. Appreciate it, Cam. Thanks, buddy.
Up next, we're from The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Desi Lydic. Got the Remembering RBG, A Nation Ugly Cries with Desi Lydic half-hour special that's going to premiere on Friday night, 11 Eastern, 10 local time on Comedy Central. Got a special to talk about. The Daily Show with Trevor Noah presents Remembering RBG, A Nation Ugly Cries with Desi Lydic. And if I mispronounced any part of that name, I'm profusely apologize for that.
You got it perfect. You pronounced it perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Plus the title, which is not an easy title to recite.
And first off, Desi, tell us what RBG personally on your behalf meant in your life.
Well, gosh, she had such an impact on so many people's lives, and particularly women. Before she even was on the Supreme Court, she really dedicated her life to challenging discrimination, legal discrimination all over the country, and really kind of challenging Americans to take a look at what was baked into society in this, breadwinner, homemaker sort of scenario, and kind of breaking down some of that stereotype. So the fact that I am fortunate enough to have a career and have a family, and I have a partner who meets me in the middle, and we both share caretaking duties. All of that, I can't help but to think, may not have happened if it weren't for all of the work that she did early in her career.
And I know that Americans, we all like to think that we're better than we were in the past, and I think we can all agree we are at a better place, but are we in a better place than we were in comparison to other places in the world?
I made a special about this about a year and a half ago, that very topic. Look, there's no question that we have made great strides and we are moving in the right direction. Are we at a tough place in history right now? It's my belief, yes, we are. There are a lot of challenges and life is incredibly difficult for people right now. But, one thing that it kind of hit me while I was making this special is reflecting back on all of the things that Justice Ginsburg fought for and how thoughtful she was in her approach, that she believed that true change, enduring change happens one step at a time. Those are her words. And, I think as a reminder right now in this place in time, it's helpful to look at everything that she fought for and everything that we have to show for it now, and be hopeful that with a little bit of patience and really hard work, that positive change will come.
And how hard has 2020 been on the comedy side of things for you? And it seems like there's a lot of backlash on comedians too right now. How has that been for you this year?
I'm fortunate enough to have a job right now. I'm just really grateful that we are one of the few shows that has been able to produce and do everything that we're doing from home, and to be able to talk about what's happening in the world right now, to have the freedom to speak about it, and, sometimes be critical and sometimes make jokes at, whether it be the political system at large on either side, the administration, whatever it is, the fact that we're able to do that and make commentary right now is a huge blessing. It's comedians more than ever have to be careful about what they say. And it does, it's not a bad thing to kind of take a step back and just try to be thoughtful. A joke is a joke is a joke. And it's my personal belief that you can make almost anything funny. But, if you work hard at it, if you're good enough at it. And fortunate enough for The Daily Show, we have a lot of very talented writers who are very good at that.
And for you, the feedback and the folks that were able to and willing to be involved in the latest project, I mean, what does that mean for you on a personal level to see who was willing to be a part of it as well?
It was incredible. We lost Justice Ginsburg, and I was talking to so many of the women that I work with at the show, and men as well, who it hit hard. We all just felt this collective, oh no, word I can't say on the radio, but this panic, and she meant so much to so many people. The fact that there were so many people at The Daily Show who immediately jumped onto this project and were so enthusiastic to work on it because they loved and admired her so much. It really meant the world. And not to mention that we got some incredible guests. We got Rebecca Traister and Imani Gandhi and Senator Warren, and then some people in Justice Ginsburg's life who spoke and told really funny and beautiful anecdotes about their personal experiences with her. We got Nina Totenberg to share a really very funny story that I hadn't heard before. So it really speaks volumes about what she meant to people.
And again, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah presents Remembering RBG, A Nation Ugly Cries with Desi Lydic. Again, that debuts coming up tomorrow night, 11 Eastern, 10 local time on Comedy Central. And Desi, I always want to make sure and let everybody know where they can keep up with everything you got going social media wise as well.
Oh, yeah. My handle is Desi Lydic on Instagram and on Twitter. And pretty much everything's up there.
Well, Desi, it's been great to visit with you. I appreciate your time and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for making the time. Good to chat with you.
Up next is Jordan Wolfe. We'll be talking about Night of the Living Dead, the musical. Night of the Living Dead, the musical. Did probably things that you never thought was even possible. Well, we've got music and lyrics were all done by Jordan Wolfe. We've got Jordan on the line. And first off, Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you, Cameron.
Now, obviously, October is a great time to talk about the musical. And for you, when did the inspiration of putting it to music and musical come in your life?
Yeah, well, I've always loved the movie. I've always loved big horror movie fan, and I also, as well as a writer, I'm an actor. I come from the theater, and I love putting the two together. I'm a big Little Shop fan, and I was watching Night of the Living Dead. I wrote it over the summer of 2018, and I was like, well, why aren't they singing? So I fixed that, and that's where you get Night of the Living Dead, the musical. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, totally the opposite of the movie. So the movie is classic, it's iconic. It's really the first zombie movie, the way we think of zombies, and so many horror movies are kind of, inspired by Living Dead. But I was like, I'm going to go the opposite. So the original movie is dark and serious and quiet and bleak. And so Night of the Living Dead, the musical, is just a bright kaleidoscope of color and crazy over the top, and hopefully a hell of a fun time.
And what were the initial reactions and responses to the production?
Well, so the concept recording, we worked on that. We did an off-Broadway run in New York last year, and it was sold out. We had such an amazing response, and the best compliment that I got was that people from so many different backgrounds all really enjoyed the show. We had the hardcore horror movie fans who loved the movie, who weren't necessarily big musical theater fans, and they all loved it. And we had obviously the theater people who were like, I don't know if I've seen that movie. Is that the one? It's a black and white. I don't know, but and they really enjoyed it too. So that was the most rewarding thing. We had such a huge range. People younger than me, I'm 30. People in their 20s who love the movie now, and people who I know a lot of people who saw it when it came out, at the drive-in back in '68. So, we had such an amazing response, and the concept recording has been out on Broadway Records. We were already in the top 50 on the soundtrack charts, which I'm super excited about. And the response has just been, I'm super grateful.
Now, has it ignited a fire for maybe a follow-up turned into a musical?
Oh boy, maybe. It's hard writing one, but you never know. I mean, this was so fun to write and so fun to do. I was also in the production in New York and got to work with these unbelievable singers. I mean, these are really the A-team. On this album, Jamie Shapiro from TV Smash, and he's got a new NBC show now, and people from everything from Book of Mormon to Les Mis, all these great people, and so that was a blast. And definitely, if there's an idea, maybe keep going down the George Romero food chain. Maybe do Day of the Dead next. I don't know. We'll see.
Now, how has 2020 been for you? Has the writing been good for you? Has the inspiration been easy or hard to find for you this year?
Oh, sure. It's tough. I mean, as an actor, I'm a New Yorker, and New York theater has obviously had to close its doors for now, and that's been really tough for a lot of us. And you gotta kind of create your own work, find your own inspiration, and the one good thing about quarantine is it gives you a lot of time, to think and to write. And I've been working actually on the Night of the Living Dead, the musical screenplay, to do a movie musical, which would be such an awesome project to come full circle. And that's the kind of project that normally I'm running around, but because of everything that's going on, you have the time to kind of work on these things. So I think that's what it's all about. Creating your own projects.
And what in 2020 have you learned that you are going to apply to 2020 and 2021 and beyond?
Oh boy, I mean, I'm going to appreciate so much more interacting with people. A lot of us get isolated. I'm lucky to be with family during this time. A lot of people aren't so lucky, and before I think, even just hugging a friend or that kind of immediate exchange you get talking with someone not over Zoom, I'm going to appreciate that, a hell of a lot more, I think.
And again, the musical, find out more information, Night of the Living Dead, the musical. Jordan, I want to make sure and let folks know where they can find more about the music, the musical, and everything else you're working on as well.
Absolutely. So you can go to the Night of the Living Dead, themusical.com, and there's lots of fun stuff there. There's a music video that's a lot of fun. And then the album, Night of the Living Dead, the musical concept recording, is out on Broadway Records. It is available anywhere you buy or stream music. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. So you can stream it right now.
All right. Well, again, Jordan Wolfe, great to visit with you. Great to get to know you this morning. Looking forward to checking out Night of the Living Dead, the musical myself. Hope you have a great rest of your week, my friend, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Great talking to you, man. Be well.
And our final guest is best known as Jason from Friday the 13th. He played 4 of those. Kane Hodder. We'll be talking about some Friday the 13th memories and some funny film stories as well. Probably best known as wearing a mask over his face, so maybe 2020 was made for him. We've got Kane Hodder on the line, and first off, Kane, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
It's my pleasure, Cameron. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
And 2020 being what it is, I know folks are having to celebrate Halloween a little differently, but that lends itself well to sitting down and watching a little horror film, right?
That's what I think. I mean, what better time to sit and watch the series of films like Friday the 13th, Halloween, even Hatchet, because you can catch up on things that you've always wanted to watch, but we're too busy. But now, because of the situation, we have more time to do that. And it is kind of strange for everyone to be wearing a mask now, and not just me. But I got to tell you, Cameron, I have a house up in Park City, Utah, and I was at the Salt Lake Airport going back to L.A., and sitting at the gate wearing one of the surgical masks, of course, or, one of the COVID masks. And I saw a guy do a double take while I'm sitting there, and he says, "You're Kane Hodder. You played Jason Friday the 13th." And I'm like, how the hell do you know that? Everything is covered but my eyes. And he said, that's exactly the point. He said he recognized my eyes. And I was like, wow, I was amazed that someone, first of all, I don't get recognized all that often anyway, even without a mask. And for somebody like that to do it from the eyes, I was amazed.
A little impressed as well, right?
Yeah. And of course I killed him.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's just part of the job.
Now, Kane, that kind of takes us back to, I know that you were shooting, I believe it was 7, was it Friday the 13th 7, where you had an interesting walk back to your dressing room, I heard.
Oh, yes. I was on the set. It was about 2 a.m, and I was told I wouldn't be needed for about an hour, so I thought I'd go back to my dressing room. And the easiest way to do that was cut through the woods on this trail. And so that's what I was doing. Remember, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's fairly cold out because we were shooting in like March in Alabama. And I had the mask on and walking, and I encountered someone going the opposite way that I didn't recognize as a member of the crew. So I stopped and just stared at him. I had everything on, remember. And he asked me a question that I thought was ridiculous. He said, "Excuse me, are you with the movie?" Now, I have to know what movie we're shooting. Am I with the movie the way I'm dressed? So I tilted my head and stared at him, just did the breathing thing, and then lunged. And he took off really fast. Never saw him again. The next day, John Beekler, the director, said, "Hey, that local cop never showed up last night. He was going to visit the set." And I thought, oh, well, I wonder why.
Now I know also, Kane, you had a pretty hard stance on some things for Jason, and you didn't think Jason would be a runner. What was the mentality behind that, Kane?
Well, I just think that maybe early on when Jason, appeared to be more of a human, that he would do stuff like that. But by the time I started playing the character, I felt he was more of a zombie type, and that I didn't think it fit to see him run. And, as ludicrous as it is that people sprint away from him and he still catches up, I thought that was less of an issue, just figuring, Jason knows the shortcuts. So I always fought against him running. Maybe walking quickly, sure, but running, I didn't think it fit. So yeah, and there were other things that I did presented as being what I thought the character would do. So most often it was greeted with agreement.
And Kane, this year, 2020 being the way it is, how has that affected your working ability? Have you had to change? Have you had to become more tech savvy, I guess?
Yes. I mean, life has changed for all of us. So, better to do the changes and stay healthy than worry about, things you're missing out on. Obviously, nobody's happy about it, but we're all having to deal with it. So, at this point last year, I had done like 18 conventions at this date last year. This year, I've only done one, and that was just a couple weeks ago. So, things are vastly different, but it gives us a good chance to catch up on stuff we wanted to do. So
that's right. Again, Kane, as Halloween approaches, all the many movies you can see him on the big screen, the small screen, the pay-per-view. Kane, anything new on the horizon for you?
Yeah, I've been doing. I think you probably know, Cameron, that I did the motion capture for the Friday the 13th video game.
Yes, sir.
As Jason. It took almost 2 years to do all that. And there could be something coming up along those lines as well. But I have a couple movies coming out soon. One called The Good Things Devils Do. And I actually am going to accept an award next week for my performance, which I've never really gotten any kind of award for an acting performance as opposed to, a monster, the character stuff, sure. But, and then there's another one where I did a real emotional scene in a movie called 13 Fanboy. And it's about a guy that's obsessed with the Friday the 13th movies and the Jason character. And I play myself in it and had a really beautiful, emotional scene that I talked about some personal stuff in order to get the emotion elicited because I'm playing myself, so I could talk about anything really. So I'm excited about those two. And tomorrow night, I believe there's an episode of Impractical Joker's Dinner Party, or maybe it's tonight. I think it's tonight actually. And I did that with those guys because I did their movie with them and they're friends of mine. So that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Of course, Kane, if folks want to keep up with everything you got going on social media wise.
Yeah, mostly on Twitter and Facebook is where they can find out everything you want to know.
All right. Well, Kane, always good to visit with you, sir, and hope you have a great rest of your October, and we catch up again real soon.
Thanks, Cameron. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Again, thanks for tuning us in for this 43rd episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, just find me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, go ahead and email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. We'll be back with episode number 44 coming up tomorrow.